Welcome to Health and Safety Conversations. Here's your host, Tom Bourne.
Hi, and welcome to Health and Safety Conversations. I'm Tom Bourne, and with me today is David Joyce. David, I've known for a number of years. He's one of the good guys. He's one of the best people I've actually met. He instills a great work-life balance, which I'm quite envious of. I've known Dave, as I said, for a few years, a good person. But Dave, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no worries, Tom. Thanks for having me on today too. I currently reside in Queensland. I'm a trainer and assessor. I also do a fair bit of health and safety work for the company I'm with at the moment. That's Link Resources. My main focus sort of thing is I do a lot of equipment coordination with the company. I moved over to Australia when I was 25, so I've been here about 16 years now. Not quite long enough to be a citizen, but I've been here about 16 years. Before that, I was in New Zealand, and I worked in the forestry most of my life. Left school when I was quite young. I was about 13 when I packed it in and ran off and started working with some of my cousins doing silviculture. And then when I turned 17, I jumped on into the logging sort of side of it. So I've pretty much most of my life been on the hard tools up until a few years ago, 2018, 19. Under sort of forced circumstances, I decided to retrain myself, and now I've got a lot easier job for a few, see my days out, hopefully.
Dave, you mentioned a few things there. Getting involved in logging and forestry, what's that actually involve? Because I've only got a tiny little bit of knowledge about it. I mean, at one stage here, I lived with a forest behind me, and there were certainly logging vehicles going in and out. But apart from that, I don't have a clue. What did you actually do?
So I'd pretty much done everything. I was when I was doing silviculture, so that's from planting, so planting pine trees to pruning them, thinning them out. So you go through with a chainsaw, chop down all the little ones. It's after a few years to get the nice, good straight ones out. So that was sort of silviculture. And then when I was about 17, I went into logging, and that was working on my main job was breaking out. So we'd set up a thing called like a hauler, and it would sit up at the top of a hill, and we'd have to run really big cables out through the bush and act like a giant pulley system. And chains would come down on these cables, and me and another bloke would be down in the bush, and we'd hook up logs, and would once we've hooked them up, we would get out of the way, and they'd pull those logs up the hill. And I'd done that till I was 25. Yeah, so I was quite fit back then.
I was going to say, it sounds like pretty hard work for a 13-year-old, my friend.
Oh yeah, I was really fit back those days. And then I'd go and play rugby on a Saturday.
Oh dear. Well, at least I've got to ask you another question. Why did you move to Australia?
There was a few reasons. I think I was getting a bit frustrated in New Zealand. Literally spending so long in the bush. As you know, New Zealand weather can be quite wet and cold. And I heard about the sunshine over here, so I jumped on a plane and came over here to a friend, and started doing a bit of pretty much everything, odd jobs. I think my first little job over here was putting demountable school classrooms together at a factory down in Waco.
Yep.
I'd done that for a few months, and then I think I moved to the Sunshine Coast and started doing tree works. Yeah, so it was a bit better jumping on chainsaws again, something I kind of already knew about. And after I'd done that for a few months, I started climbing, and I climbed for a few years. Yeah. So it was quite physical again. Physical job, yeah.
I gotta say, the lovely sunshine. What's the weather like up in the sunny coast at the moment?
Oh, it's not too bad. Yesterday it was a bit drizzly,
Yeah.
but warm. That's the thing. It's warm.
What
Today,
sort of temperatures we talking about?
early 20s.
Oh,
Yeah.
down in Perth here, mate. The top today expected is 16 degrees.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a little sad, mate.
yeah, right.
Miss that Queensland sunshine, I tell you. All right. All those physical jobs. Did you see any injuries happen to any of the people you're working with in that time?
I did. When I was in New Zealand, we actually there was a couple of guys that we lost that they just had quite a lack of concentration and ended up getting killed.
Oh.
It was a very dangerous job, logging. But I was always on the front foot. I always kind of think ahead a lot more. Try not to lose my concentration too much. On the rigs, same sort of deal. I think the worst I ever saw on the rigs was a bloke falling out of a shipping container that was on the back of a flatbed truck, literally trying to rescue a 44-gallon drum of oil falling out. And we thought he'd broken his back, but he had just broken his hip, which was best case scenario.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of drilling, was that onshore or offshore drilling you did, or both?
All my drilling was onshore, mainly in Queensland here.
Right.
Yep.
Whereabouts were you in Queensland?
So my first ever drilling gig, we were based in a little place called Mara. Spent a lot of time up in Mara, and they call it the graveyard for drill pipe up there because the coal seams are quite fractured, and you'd be drilling through nice soft coal and then straight into some hard rock formation, and you'd snap your drill string off about 1,000 meters out. So it'd be real frustrating whenever that happened.
So the drillers usually are well and truly in advance of any, mining camps or anything like that. Is that correct?
What was that? Sorry.
When you go out drilling, you're well and truly in advance of any sort of like establishment of mining camps, and that I imagine it'd be pretty rough and ready.
It was. Sometimes when you go to a good size town or something like Mara, they've got a quite a big mine there as well.
Mm.
So there's a good mine camp there that we used to stay in. There was also back in the days where I think my first mobile camp, so that's when the camp actually follows the drilling rig around, was literally just shipping containers with air cons in them and bunk beds, and the air cons would never work, so you'd end up having to sleep with the door open, and you don't really want to be doing that when you're on night shift, so the sun will be just blasting in. But the old camp managers would say, don't turn your aircon off because the snakes, the bloody pythons will climb inside you. They'll come in through the aircon ducts. So I was just a naive Kiwi.
Yeah.
I was worried about everything.
Oh dear. As my wife, who's a Kiwi, says, everything in Australia is out to kill you. So maybe not, but it seems like that, I'm sure. Because you guys don't even have snakes, do you?
Don't have snakes. We actually just got back from New Zealand, and my son, when we were back there, he's like, "Do we have to worry about snakes?" And I was like, "There's no snakes here, mate." It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to say, all of the industries you worked in up until when you made a career change, was there any emphasis on health and safety, the laws regarding health and safety at all?
Yeah, well, in New Zealand, it's a lot different. I basically went through the whole time in the bush back there, not even knowing what a unit of competency was or a ticket, a license to drive anything. When I came over to Australia here, it was a lot more regulated, I suppose. The main thing in the industries is the culture of the people that own it. And what I found, especially on drilling rigs, the senior people would always dictate how important safety was in regards to how everyone else takes it. So if the senior people took it as a joke, then everyone else would as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've believed about safety culture for quite some time, that it's the people who are managing people, and particularly managing people on the ground, that actually make that big difference. And you're right. If safety's not taken seriously by a supervisor, no one else takes it seriously. They kind of set the tone for the whole environment. That's why you can have organizations where some parts of them have a good safety culture and other parts just don't. It really is sort of frontline supervisor type dominated, should I say.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You've mentioned about being forced into a career change. Why was that?
So back in, I think it was late 2018, I was working up in Moranbah, I think it might have been. And no, it was out in Dalby, actually, sorry. And coming on for night shift, it was a rig move. And we were setting up the rig. And a job that I'd done over the past 7 years with that rig, hundreds, even thousands of times. I picked up a hydraulic hose with a co-worker of mine, and we went to move it around to plug her in, and I just twisted the wrong way. It was 8 o'clock at night. It was a chilly evening. Didn't do any warm-ups, which I probably should have. Twisted the wrong way, and I sort of heard a bit of a snap and felt a bit of a snap. Didn't feel any pain straight away, but as we're supposed to, any incident is to be reported. So I went and let my rig manager know, and by the end of that 12-hour shift, 10 hours later, I could hardly walk. So it was what had happened is, so we didn't find out until about 4 months later. I was going through, everyone was just like, my doctors and physios were like, oh, you've just pulled a muscle. We found out, I had a spinal specialist have a look at me, and I'd fractured a vertebrae in my lower lumbar, and it was a pars defect fracture. So what happened was the muscles just were continually contracting and wouldn't release. So it's like having cramp in a spot that just never lets up. And it was like pushing on nerves and all sorts of stuff. So not able to do the physical work like that anymore. I saw an opportunity to do a bit of study, and I ended up studying my Cert 4 in health and safety, and also my Cert 4 training and assessing, which is everything happens for a reason. It's a blessing in disguise. It was definitely a real frustrating and hard time of my life, but managed to get through it. So yeah, only one way to go up, eh?
That's right, mate. That's right. Look, I'll be honest with you. I may have had something to do with you and the TAE. I don't know if I ever told you this, Dave, but I'm going to tell you it now. And if anyone listens to that, they can listen too. I actually was pretty confident you'd succeed in life, mate. I was pretty confident because, I'll be honest, you weren't really good at paperwork. And that's okay, because some of us also are not very good at paperwork. But you were determined, and you were determined, and you were determined, and there was stuff you might have struggled to understood, or it's understood its relevance, but you kept asking questions and you were kept being persistent. And the thing I like most of all, mate, particularly for you, was when it came to be time right at the end to do your presentations, you got up, and I think you literally surprised everyone else in the room by how good you were. To me, that said you were going to make it. So congratulations. Look, I seriously just want to say congratulations. I didn't know that you'd come from an interesting schooling background like that. And can I just say, for you to be actually not, well, they call trainers, teachers, lecturers, they call them all different names, but for you to be doing that, you've come a hell of a long way, and you really should be proud of yourself. For anyone who else doesn't know Dave, I can tell you now, he is, I would say, the ultimate family guy. Envious that you worked out how to get a good family and work-life balance, mate. Very much so. So congratulations again on that. I'll stop doing the compliments because, you know,
make me blush, mate.
All right. Now, working for Link as a trainer, what are you training?
So I do a lot of different training, mainly stuff like working at heights, confined space, gas testing, breathing apparatus, self-contained breathing apparatus. Do some fun stuff like the four-wheel drive courses,
yep.
skill sets like that. White card, weed and seed sort of training. It definitely keeps you busy. When I was first started training, I'd be up like till 10 o'clock at night going through all the presentations, questions, just being that person where like expect the unexpected. Someone's going to ask this question, I need to have an answer for them. So but it's I never thought I'd be one to stand up in front of a classroom and be telling other people the ins and outs of certain things. But it's been good.
I got to say, it makes me also a bit proud of you also when you say that you were doing the 10 o'clock stuff. And it's what it takes actually to be a good educator, mate, is to, again, get up, learn your stuff, think about what the students are going to ask you and have the answers ready. So well done again on that. When you got hurt in 2018, you went through workers' comp at all?
Yeah, yep. So I had to go through workers' comp, and sort of when you're hurt and you can't do a job like that, there was actually the company was going through some restructures at the time as well, and obviously I was probably one of the easiest ones to let go. But workers' comp had a duty to look after me, so I helped them out by suggesting a few things.
Yep.
One of them was doing studying, and when I got made redundant, I had to have some sort of work experience keeping me in the industry, and a few friends of mine suggested a company I'd done some training with, and that was Link Resources. And I remember him coming in, one of the business managers, and saying, if you ever want a career doing training and assessing, let me know. So I gave him a call up, and I told him my situation, and he's like, come down and hang out with us. So when I first started with Link, I was just turning up to learn pretty much, and I just hitch a ride around with the trainers and watch them training and assessing and seeing all the different styles. It's quite amazing how many trainers get their messages across different ways. Mm-hmm. So I was really lucky, I think, that I had that opportunity to hang out with such great people and learn from them with so much experience. And when I was ready to jump in front of the classroom, I remember it was one morning. I walked into the office ready just to help out, and Suzanne Strong, she was our operations manager at the time. She's like, "You're going to be a lifesaver today, Dave. There's working at heights and the trainer's called in sick." And I tell you, I almost passed out. I was so scared, but I think I absolutely nailed it. So I was really, really stoked with that. I was definitely chucked in the deep end that day.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. All right, here's a question just purely from someone who's did loose training. When you knew you nailed your first one, and the students finally shuffled off and left you, how did you feel?
Oh, it was reading the comments
Feedback?
or the
Yep.
feedback, and I think I may even sent you a couple.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I was just really proud, eh? And I think after the course, I would have sat in the classroom for about an hour, just marking all the paperwork and just really just trying to gather myself. Think, what did I just do? I think I impressed myself
Yeah, mate.
more than anything. But
Mate,
yeah,
it's good when you put the work in and you can sit back and reflect and go, I've done really well. I'm kind of proud of myself. So well done, mate.
yeah.
All right. One last question before we wrap up today. You've now had quite a few students across various courses, all kind of safety related. What's the one concept you believe that students are struggling to understand with safety?
It doesn't need to be hard, and it really doesn't need to be hard. It's something as simple as take five is all you have to do before you do any type of job. I tell everyone they do that risk management process every day before they go to work or before they um, go out shopping or anything like that. Before they get behind the wheel of a car, they're always thinking, what can hurt me? How's it going to affect me? What can I do to stop it? Did that work? It's simple 4 steps.
Yeah.
Another really, really big one that I sort of put across to people is peer pressure is probably a real big one as well. If 100 people are on the roof of a building with a harness and one person gets on without a harness and he keeps telling everyone you don't need a harness, everyone's going to take those harnesses off. They want the easiest way out, and if someone's going to tell them that that's the easiest way to do it, they're going to listen to them. Peer pressure with, especially if it's senior people, if they're bringing that peer pressure and that culture in, it's going to keep going.
Yep. Yep. All right. I kind of fibbed it because I'm going to ask you another question only because you brought it up, and I figured I might as well ask someone who brings it up. All right. You've worked industrial sites. You've worked heavy sites pretty much most of your life. All right. And I'm guessing you didn't do take fives till you came to Australia?
No.
Okay. Now, but you use take fives in Australia?
Yeah, I've used take fives in Australia.
All right. Do they work, Dave?
Do they work? I think so. To a point. If everyone wants to pay attention, if everyone wants to sit back and do them properly, the thing is, I don't think many people know how to do them properly. I've seen when I've been put on a drilling crew that have been doing something a certain way, and when I look at the take fives, I'm like, you guys are doing this wrong. Like, it's very plain to see, and a lot of people just do it as a flick and tick. It's KPIs. How many take fives did your crew do this night shift? Oh, we done 10. Okay, you guys, you need to do 12. The pressure of safety like that is wrong in my eyes. There shouldn't be pats on the backs for whoever can do as many take fives or JSAs or who can drill as many meters. Back in the day, there was you used to get paid bonuses for drilling more meters. So when you've got 2 crews of people, night shift and a day shift will come in, they'll drill, they'll bury the bit, they'll drill. Night shift will come in and they'll go to drill and the bit's blunt. So they're going to have to pull all the rod string out, change the bit, go all the way back in. By the time they've done that, it's day shift again. And then day shift's just going to bury the bit again.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous because it's sending the wrong message these days.
Yeah, I agree. Look, take fives to me, they're a great idea, but they got to kind of be followed up. They've got to actually been done, fair income and real, not people sitting outside their donger in the morning doing a take 5 before they've even got to site, or just looking at what they've ticked yesterday and ticking it again. To me, I like what you said earlier when you said about people just thinking about what could harm them, and it doesn't, to me, necessarily have to be formalized on a piece of paper. It's just it's a mindset to think about things before you start it. So no, that's good. All right.
100%.
We might wrap it up today, Dave. Thanks very much again for coming on, and it's always a pleasure to see and hear from you. Good luck with the family and with link training, and I will speak to you soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Tom.
No worries.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to Health and Safety Conversations with Tom Bourne. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week.